good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy Wednesday. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're rejoicing and we're glad in it. I'm going to walk in between the raindrops. I got my umbrella just in case. We have a little bit of unsettled weather. It's been raining off and on, but it is still a beautiful day because we need the water as well as the sunshine. But this is Gigi, you know. I'm trying to get my at least 1,000 steps in, and usually I go up to 10,000 steps. But I want to get these steps in between the raindrops. Yep, it's Wednesday. We're in the middle of the week. I believe that if we made it to Wednesday, we'll be able to make it the rest of the way. But you know what? There was something heavy on my heart today. And Lord, oh my goodness. He said, you need to let the people know there's one thing that they need to know for sure. One thing that they need to know for sure. This is how Paul says it in Romans 8:28. He said, for we know. He said, you need to know this, and you should know it. He said, for we know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and the called that are called according to his purpose. Oh my goodness. You know, it just dropped heavy on me this morning because yesterday I heard something that was very interesting. They were talking about Mr. Walt Disney, and I had never heard this before. You know, Walt Disney, you know, Disney World, Disneyland, Disney movies, Disney, they own about everything now. But back when Mr. Walt Disney had this vision to come up with this place, a happy place, a place that people could really enjoy themselves and so forth, it said he went to 301 banks to try to get finance. Did you hear me? 301 banks to get finance. Only one, number 301, accepted his plan. And you see what has happened now. You know, Disney is big. Disney is big. Because, you know, I was thinking about that because a lot of things can happen in life and everything is not good. But guess what? They work out together for good. Oh my goodness, it just dropped in my spirit because I was been thinking about some dear friends of ours that although some things were not good in their lives, but guess what? It all worked together for good. And the word that really stuck out in that Romans 8:28, he said all things, all the things that were good, all the things that were bad, they worked out together for good. And you know, I'm going to shout out 3 powerful women of God, which this is so true, that worked out together for good. The first one I want to mention is a wonderful friend of ours from Florida. She is Pastor Faye Datsey. She is the leader and founder of Victorious Life Ministries in Palm Coast, Florida. Just over the weekend was just sharing on a Zoom of the prayer warriors, and there were women from everywhere, all over the country and even in Africa. But at the end, she was telling her testimony, how 20 years ago, she was going through a terrible, she was going through a divorce. A divorce is never a good thing. It's never a good thing. But because she said it was just so devastating, because while she was, you know, trying to encourage people, having this ministry, you know, to encourage other people, she was going through this divorce. But through it all, now, even 20 years later, all things are continuing to work for good. Some years ago, the Lord laid it on her heart to bless even Grace Entwine Ministries. Her and her ministry and everyone came down here in Virginia, brought a big 18-wheeler, and we just gave everything away to the surrounding community. It worked out for good. Even though she went through that, she continued on in this powerful ministry that is just reaching all over the world. That wasn't a good thing, the divorce, but it worked out together for good. There's another wonderful, dear woman of God that me and my husband know, and she is, and I say now, Pastor Louise Hicks of Greater Mount Zion Church of God in Christ. Now, she was married to a powerful man of God, Superintendent Charles Hicks. And the way that we met was that my husband was invited to preach at one of the other pastors' churches in that jurisdiction, and Dr. Charles Hicks met my husband. And Dr. Charles Hicks, I'll never forget, after he heard my husband deliver the message, he said, "I'm going to keep my eye on you, keep my eye on you." And then there was a wonderful fellowship, and they invited us to speak at their church on several occasions, and we had invited Sister Hicks to speak on a Mother's Day, but we grew to be wonderful friends. This faithful woman of God worked beside her husband, loved her husband. I know she misses her husband because the Lord took him home almost 2 years ago. But you know what God did? Even through all of that, elevated her to be now the pastor of the church, to continue on the ministry of her husband at Greater Mount Zion Baptist Church. And just recently, as I was watching some of the videos from her church, the church is growing. The church is growing. And although that wasn't a good thing that her husband passed, but it has worked together for good. And I know she's watching. She misses her baby. I know she misses her baby. But it all worked out together for good. Then the last one, my dear friend, Dr. Angela Bour of Women Empowered Incorporated, under the covering and leadership of the Mount, Bishop Kim W. Brown and Elder Valerie Brown. But I know Dr. Bour on another level because we work together in education. And Dr. Bour's always her vision and her goal was to be the principal of a school. She'd been teacher, she'd been assistant principal, then administrator, all of these things. But there's a verse that is her favorite verse. She said, being confident of this very thing, that he that began a good work will complete it. And you know what? And I watched her go through and persevere, rejection after rejection of being elevated to this position. But do you know what God did? Even after she retired from the school system, the Lord found favor and elevated her, and she was called out of retirement to get that principalship. Those things that happened before, they weren't good. They weren't good. But in each one of these cases, the divorce wasn't good. Losing the loved one that you had been laboring with all these years, it wasn't good. Being rejected over and over again for a position that you know you deserve, it wasn't good. But in every case, God worked it out for good. And if he worked it out for good, for these people, for Mr. Disney, for Pastor Faye, for Mother Hicks, for Dr. Bour, and even for Jesus Christ, all the stuff that Jesus went through, Lord knows it wasn't good. But you know what? It worked out for good. Not just for him, but it worked out for all of us. You know, he humbled himself even to the death of the cross. But guess what? It worked out for good, because at the name of Jesus, every knee is going to bow. Every tongue is going to confess. And God exalted him. Exalted him. See, that's one thing you can be sure of. All things. I don't care if it's good or bad. All things work out together for good. Oh my goodness. To them that love God. To them who are called according to his purpose. Don't forget that. All things work together for good. You know, we're going through some things, you're going through some things, and you say, how can this be working out for good? You know, I saw an illustration of this verse, and it was a puzzle, and there's one piece of the puzzle that's getting ready to fit in, because all the other things look like they're not fitting in. You know, when you're trying to put a puzzle together and you're trying to make it fit together, and sometimes you can't figure out this piece don't fit in here, but after it's all over, all things, all the puzzle pieces are going to come together, and guess what? They're going to work out for good. You need to give God some praise, because that's one thing you should know beyond a shadow of a doubt, that all things work together for good. I know this was a little long this morning, but it was in my spirit that someone needed to know this. There are some people that know beyond a shadow of a doubt that all things, although they weren't good, they work together for good. Oh my goodness. I did what you said, Lord. Encourage somebody. Let them know that all things are working together for good. You may not see it right now, but it's still working out for the good. There's some things that are even happening. Oh, the Spirit is just talking to me this morning. There's some things that are happening even behind the scenes that you don't even know about, but God is working it out for good. He's working it out for good. Just like Kirk Franklin said, if you didn't know, now you know. So you be blessed. Be blessed. Subscribe to this Gem Nugget channel so you won't miss these nuggets, that you won't miss these nuggets and any of the instruction and the inspiration and encouragement that is shared, that emanates from Grace and Twine Ministry, from Pastor James E. Gilmore Sr. and myself. But don't forget one thing that you should know, that all things, I tell you, all things work together for good for those that love God and to them who are called according to his purpose. You be blessed. Bye.